So yeah, it started recording. And now I'm just going to share my slides. So just give me a sec. Okay, yeah, so this is the presentation for the SciComm case competition. This is our second year of doing it because the club was founded last year, actually. And this is actually our second info session. We had one in November, but unfortunately we had to push back some of our deadlines because we just did not have enough signups. The timing was not great, but we're really hoping to get a lot of signups this time. And I'm really happy with the turnout so far. So yeah, so we'll just kind of go over the event, kind of what to expect, and so on. Uh, don't know why it's not. Oh, there we go. Oh, I just want to make sure. Okay. So, Peter, do you want to, or I can present this part and then you can do the next one. So
Sure.
yeah, so why participate? So, this competition is open to anyone. So it does not matter, how much science or communication background you have. You can be in any faculty, any year really does not matter. But what's important is the learning experience. So you get to learn, how to research a topic and also how to communicate this topic to a lot of different audiences because there's going to be several different kind of formats for communication throughout the competition. So it's a really, really great learning experience. We also offer exclusive workshops and networking events only available to participants. So we'll talk a bit more about that later. And there are also prizes for winners. Yeah.
All
So
right, so I'm gonna briefly maybe take you over the format. So practically, this our competition is going to be taking three different assignments, and each assignment is going to be kind of in a different science communication format. So the first one is going to be an infographic. So it's kind of it has to be kind of this creative, visually appealing scientific presentation. It can be like a one-page infographic or whatever. And the biggest goal is to try to communicate a topic of science of your interest within our theme that would be aimed to the general public. So really people who aren't very familiar with the topic.
So the next format is the podcast slash short video. So basically, it's an audio visual format. So obviously, there are two options. You don't do both of them. You just choose one. So the first option is a podcast. It would be maximum 10 minutes, and it can be any format. For instance, you can do kind of a Q&A style. We've had people ask questions like, "Oh, can I bring an expert?" And that is totally fine. But what's important is that you're still the person who's mostly presenting, the research and the information, and the expert is kind of just an added thing. And yeah, so you can really be creative with it. The video is maximum of 2 minutes, but it doesn't have to be exactly 2 minutes. It can be shorter than that. And it should be something that you could post on social media, such as TikTok, Instagram Reels, etc. So this is another really great chance to be creative. And a lot of science social media accounts post these kinds of videos. That's kind of what we're going for. So here the target audience is the general public that lacks a scientific background. So yeah.
Okay, finally, our third science communications means is going to be a literature review. So that's more of a like typically, aimed like writing a paper. It's going to be a maximum of 4 pages, single space. Obviously, you're working in groups also in teams, so it just makes the workload a lot easier. Citations are not included in the page limit, and it's the same thing geared towards explaining a topic within a theme that is projected to people this time within the scientific field. So it doesn't really have to be too explanative in the details of the science. Like it doesn't have to use baby like lay terms. So it's really like a research article that's going to be published in a journal. So yeah.
All right, so the theme reveal for this year is science and diversity. We'll just explain a bit about that. I guess I can kind of explain some aspects and then Peter, you can go ahead. So some examples, for instance, are diversity of ecosystems, the lack of diversity in scientific positions of power, scientific research. You can talk about cell diversity. Peter, you can give more
Yeah,
examples.
I think most of our examples on the slide are very bio
Yeah.
geared, but I mean, it can be anything that has to do with science and diversity, whether it is, from a political standpoint, social standpoint, it can be physics, bio, whatever it is that, you can find a certain point of talking about diversity within the world of science. And it can also be, as I was saying, so more social standpoint, it could be like the lack of diversity in science. I don't know, it could be about representation in science. So it's really, try to get creative with the theme. As long as it respects both diversity and science, it's fine. But yeah, that's pretty it.
Yeah, and then just to add on, so as you can see in our last point, you don't want to focus just on giving a general overview of the topic, like, oh, these are the facts. You kind of want to take an active standpoint on it. For instance, maybe you're seeing that they're in like within cell diversity, there's this new discovery that's really important in contributing to cell diversity, and you're kind of advocating for more research to be done there. Or if you're advocating for the lack of diversity, that's very obvious kind of political standpoint. So like I said, it's really, often in your class you kind of talk about having a thesis. So that's kind of what we're aiming for here, is that you're taking a very specific perspective on that topic within the theme of diversity. Okay. So I guess the timeline, obviously you guys can kind of like read it, feel free to take pictures, but we'll also send you guys like a detailed welcome package for the people who sign up. So these deadlines will also be available through the package. But this is just helps to give you like a general overview. So the main deadlines for now is like January 26th, that's the deadline for registration. And then we'll set you guys into groups and send you the info package. And then on the 31st is kind of when the competition officially starts. And so here you can kind of see the three different rounds. So you have the infographic round is the first one. Then you have usually about like 2 weeks-ish. Then you have the podcast round. And again, you have 2 weeks. And then after that, the judges will see who moves on to the last round. And then from there, the finalists, so I think last year there were about like 6 finalists, they will actually participate in the literature review portion. And then finally, there's going to be another week for the judges to, judge the literature reviews, and then the winners will be announced in early April. And we'll also have workshops interspersed throughout. Peter, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just to reiterate in case it wasn't clear for anybody. So practically what we're doing is everybody's doing the first two assignments, then there's a round of judging, and then it's only a select few team that are doing the last, like the literature review. So like Amy said, I think it was 6 or 7 last year, right? We had like 70 people who were registered. So yeah. Again, there will be a lot of guidance, a lot of help. So workshops are going to be given about the topic. So, don't really feel stressed about it or anything. It's really a way of, trying to learn. So yeah.
Oh, that kind of repeat. I don't think like that's
Yeah.
what we went
Okay.
over.
So it's
So
kind of the same thing for everybody to understand. So everybody's doing the first two rounds, and then there's only the finals doing the last one.
So yeah, so for judges, we're aiming to have a really big variety of judges. So typically like journalists, faculty members, etc. Right now, we've already have Diane the Chief and Ingrid Shiraz confirmed, and they're from they work for McGill. And we also will likely have an editor from from MSER. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's the like undergraduate science journal of McGill. And then we're gonna have a lot of other judges as well.
Yeah. Hopefully a few surprises, if we can get them. So.
Yes, try to get some big names.
Okay, so I sent the link in the chat for anybody who's in the Zoom. And you can fill out the form here, or scan the QR code. Be sure to register before the 26th of January, whether it's individually or you already have your team set. If you don't, we'll place you in teams, so don't worry about that. And yeah, I hope that we've motivated you guys to join. It's a really, really fun thing. You'll get to learn a lot. You'll get to meet new people, meet SciComm people who are well founded within the SciComm community and might lead somewhere. So yeah, it's just a really fun opportunity to learn. So
Yeah, and also, like I said, there's going to be prizes. So we've actually already been guaranteed that the winner of the competition will be published in MSearch. So this is a really good opportunity. Unfortunately, the way the deadlines will work out, you will be published for next year's, so the 2023 publication. But it's still a really great opportunity to get your work out there. And of course, you're free to always, get your work published in other journals. As well, we're gonna have some like cash prizes. So we already have a chef on call prize and a spin energy prize. We'll likely actually use the chef on call prize for people who've signed up just to because we kind of want to reward you just for signing up. Like that's already takes a lot of dedication and courage. So yeah, so we're gonna get more prizes as well.
yeah, and just I think one last thing before we move on to questions, I just want to say something. Amy said something that's really important. So it's this competition and being exposed to the judges that we're getting and having them review your work is really a good opportunity to, even though you don't necessarily win, you can always try to have your literature review published in another journal or whatever. So it's a really good opportunity to get some extra work and maybe have something published. So yeah, and we leave the floor open to questions. So if anybody has any questions, you can just pop in the chat or unmute yourselves, or send us an email after. And yeah, hopefully you're all really motivated to join us this year. And of course, don't forget to follow us Instagram, Facebook, and any other resources on our website. So yeah.
You guys can just like unmute yourself, raise your hand. Yeah, Victor?
So I missed the first little bit of this presentation. Was there anything important mentioned? And also, I was wondering, what do you think the weekly time commitment would be?
I can answer the first question. So the beginning portion, we were kind of just introducing the like the different rounds. So I don't know if you were there for the infographic. Peter quickly explained the infographic. I explained the audiovisual portion. But also this meeting is actually being recorded, and then we're going to post it on our website. So as long as you go to our website after, you can always look up the recordings as well. If you're interested and you apply, you will get the info package done. So that's going to have more details anyways. So yeah.
Yeah, and concerning the time commitment, I think when you can look back at the presentation, or I don't know if Amy can get the slide, but there's like the rough dates. I think the fact that you're working in teams and there's some downtime, you can see here from like there's a downtime for the judges to judge and so on, and it's really like every round is 2 to 3 weeks. So I wouldn't say more than, I don't know, 2 hours a week. That's really, maybe I'm over evaluating them, but yeah, 2 hours a week per person. I don't think it's that big of a time commitment. You're working in teams of 4, so yeah, I think it's pretty doable. Not really very stressful. So
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Laura.
yeah, we have Laura.
Hi, thanks. So I was wondering, my partner and I are in psychology, and we were wondering if a topic in psychology would also be fine. Like, I just want to make sure that it's fine.
Yeah, as long as it's science and psychology is within the faculty. I love psychology. I'm a minor, so yeah, I think it's definitely equally as interesting to have something that's about psychology and diversity. So yeah, as long as it respects the team.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Any other questions?
Doesn't look like it. I think people are pretty okay with the presentation.
Yeah, okay, that's great. I'm just gonna end the recording.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll stop share actually, and
if there's